Okay, and today on Dusting Off, we are. I am joined by Josh King. Josh, thank you very much for coming on the show.
You are very welcome.
It's
Happy to be here.
pretty much what I kind of wanted to talk to you about was um, I think it's really kind of cool to watch the competitive games being held because I know Chris Back streams a lot and I try to catch a couple of the other people's videos. And
Mhm.
when I'm watching them play, some of the games that I've seen, like this is not me throwing flack at them in any way, shape, or form, but I'm like, that game was over in like three actions, and um,
Yeah.
yeah, not really the scene I play with us. I think at least around here, the D20 itself acts as kind of a again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking about those people negatively, but it almost acts like a gatekeeper for certain types of try-hard players
Sure.
because some of them, and again, some of these people, I mean, they're my friends, but they've flat out told me back when Warlord was still, AG was still producing stuff. They're like they would tell me they can't play a game where they have victory in the bag, and then they roll that d20 and they lose, or someone rolls a 20 and they lose. Um, and so I have never really looked at even back then when we were younger and stuff. I never really took this game all that seriously, if that makes sense. I love playing it, but it's always I want to
Right.
do some zany stuff, and it feels like I'm playing a card game version of Dungeons and Dragons. So
hmm I would say the other side of that coin is, yeah, that can happen. You could have victory in the bag and roll one and lose it, or you can be like at death's door, defeat a certain, and then roll two twenties or in a row and
yeah,
win the game somehow. So it works both ways. That's kind of the duality of it. So, but I agree. I think that casual like deck building that's a very me thing. So I've done so much wacky deck building, way more than I have competitive deck building.
yeah,
It's my preference for sure.
yeah. I think also. And again, I'm gonna stop saying this. Just assume this goes without saying. I am not throwing anything at the people who do play on those competitive circuits. But
Oh
when I
sure.
when I'm watching some of their games, I see problems manifesting. At least what I consider problems manifesting. Um, that kind of shows why our play group doesn't want to be. That's not why we're sitting down. And I'm how do I? There was a game I saw where someone was playing. I think it was Perrick Soul Saver, and
hmm
exactly what I expected to happen happened. He attempted to use his one of his abilities, and someone went exhaustion. And the argument almost becomes, why are you playing Perrick when people play exhaustion? And
Yeah.
this card existing not necessarily stops you from playing him, but it's a heavy deterrent, especially when you're trying to win, like you're playing with a prize in mind. So I mean, for us, I mean, we've kind of filtered out quite a few things that for one reason or another we didn't want to see, and you can't really do that in a competitive setting because everything we're talking about is
Right.
subjective. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can rule zero anything you want if you're playing for fun. So
yeah,
and it breeds interesting deck building if you're playing in a fun friend group. I mean, just like if you were in a commander pod or something and you wanted to weed out Soul Ring or something just because you're tired of that quick ramp. You just don't want to see it. That's fine if as a play group you guys want to do that kind of thing. Yeah, sure. It's gonna make you build differently and it's gonna be fun for a while.
yeah, I agree. As far as the commander, um, uh, the idea of commander, when you guys announced the alliances format, I was really excited about that. I still am. So
It's a good time. It's definitely interesting. I think if you're someone who plays Commander, you're gonna love it, but also you cannot look at it quite the same way as you look at Commander, just because I feel like with Commander you have that sense of like, okay, if I attack someone, then they're just gonna go after me, and if you do that in Alliance, it's to the detriment of the entire table. That can be the case with Commander as well. But like if I early attack you, that is like my one guy attacking your one guy. You have 10 on the table. Maybe I rolled bad, like 50-50. I even did anything to you. So if you look at that as an immediate like, okay, you're the person that I target, then you're looking at the game wrong. The more the more of it I play, the more you just have to like, if I have a level 1 and I'm going to attack someone, I have to look at the board and say like, okay, who's got Brother Domini, who's got like a Children of Yaskar that my attack is going to be able to RFG, who's got, whatever that I'm going to be able to take out to like help the whole table versus just like let me have this one-on-one vendetta with someone, because you're going to do that, both of you are going to lose, and then someone else is going to sweep it later.
Yeah, I guess in the manner of the I haven't played Magic in so long that I don't even think it was called Commander the last
I
time.
know.
It was EDH. I haven't really touched Magic in
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Still love it, but I haven't played it. I have no real desire to go back. As far as what I think clearly you have delved into alliances more than me, because most of mine has just been theory at this point. Getting everybody together at
Hmm.
this point is it's not super common. Like I want to say we might play once every 6 months, and we make a night out of it. But yeah, a whole bunch of ideas that we were having, theory crafting, and yeah, it was
Hmm.
when I first saw the rules to that. It was one of those nights. It was kind of like when someone first introduced EDH to us in Magic. It turned into I'm sitting down there. I'm like, okay, Zach, you have to be at work in
Yeah.
like 6 hours, and you're surrounded by all these little
Uh-huh.
pairings of warlords, and you're getting a little too excited, and you probably need to go to bed.
Yep.
So
Yes. No, it's fun. I have a good time. I think it is also different in that I'm a build a fun combo kind of player, and that is a lot harder to do in Alliance, because it's much easier to stop combo players in Alliance because there's three people working against your combo, and I mean, if you're doing a complex combo, you're going to telegraph the crap out of it.
yeah.
So it's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty
Everybody,
obvious
we can't let them
what
do
you're
this.
doing.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and so it's just gonna kind of get stopped. You end up having to pick like fun niche abilities and stuff that you want to do, and then a lot of your decks end up just being good stuff. Like Jodin Durin is one of my favorite decks I've built, and there's not really any sort of combo there other than that I can equip an item while stunned and then ready my Kai, which is super fun. That's just like a random niche thing, and then all of my guys can equip fighter weapons, so you can
yeah.
run a deck full of fighter weapons, and it's just works fine, and it's a good time.
Yeah. So, I guess one of the things we kind of briefly touched on, at least I touched on. Again, I'm just gonna use exhaustion as an example because it is something that we did filter out of our play group.
Right?
Do you? I don't know how often you play nowadays. Because again, I don't play all that often. But
Yeah,
does your play group have any kind of anything that you guys um, kind of just again decided, you know what, we really don't want to see this. It for whatever reason, even if it's just, one person doesn't like this, and you can
sure.
I don't know if you have anything like that in your group.
Not that's like a spoken rule necessarily, and I think I mean, play group for me is rough because I played in the online events for a long time, and so that kind of was my play group for a while. But if I ever do play in person, or when I'm playing with Woodrow, or whoever I'm playing with, there are certain things that we all kind of stay away from because they end up being
Yeah.
ring, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Like
think a lot of it for us,
it
again, it isn't necessarily a written list. It's like
yeah,
this is going to
yeah,
annoy him, and I know it's going to annoy him, so I am not going to put that on the
right,
table.
right.
Actually, kind of
Well,
funny.
and
Oh, go on.
oh, keep going.
I was just gonna say, it was interesting, I want to say it was 2 or 3 years ago when Edwin Ruthard got put on the reserve
Oh
list
yeah,
because of Robert. I had been playing that deck for I don't know, for since before fourth edition came out, and I eventually I was just like, yeah, they're getting pissed that I'm doing this, so I'm just not going to. I'm just gonna remove it.
yeah. I'm not gonna
And
do that anymore.
yeah, and I mean, because Robert's my favorite warlord, and so it's like, is
Right.
this the optimal thing? Probably, but it's creating a negative experience. And while the point of the game, or the objective of the game, to win, the point of the game is for all of us to enjoy ourselves. And if it's clearly something that they don't want to see, then yeah, we'll skip that and we'll do something else.
Yeah, yeah. I think the one that immediately comes to mind is if like if you're building an alliance deck or if you're building something else, it's really easy to say like I want to build a combo deck. How should I? This is the combo, but it's not necessarily tied to a warlord. What do I want to do? And then like the number one answer on the list is always, well, first you play Zod,
Uh,
because Zod can search for something that's going to like implement your combo. So that's the easy way out alliance pairing. You just pair Zod with something, and
yeah,
then Zod can search for Limited Wish. Limited Wish can search for your combo piece, and then you go from there. And so I would say Zod is kind of the thing that we filter out just because that's not fun.
yeah,
Obviously it's the optimal play, but that's not the fun play, right?
yeah.
I love Zod. I love playing combo with Zod. It's definitely the way to go to get things out quickly. But is that really what I want to do all the time? No, not
Yeah,
really.
and again, I think that's the interesting divide that you have between just the casual, beer and kitchen table pretzels warlord, and again the
Mhm.
online circuits where they're doing where you're playing for a prize and you're playing for points and standing and stuff
Sure.
like that. So and it's like can't begrudge you taking the optimal path there. That's kind of a lot of times that's what you're there for. So
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and it's just I don't know if there's anything else necessarily that we tend to weed out just because of that, or I've weeded out for myself because I'm tired of that interaction or that shortcut or something. Um, it- for the most part, I will say that doesn't come up with me, if that makes sense.
I think okay,
I tend to play enough variety that it doesn't matter. I a long time ago, like if I'm playing in paper, I kind of made a rule for myself where I'd have three of every rare promo, whatever, six of every common and uncommon, and some of those I'll have more of, but for the most part, three of every rare, six of every common and uncommon. And if I need more than that, my decks are not diverse enough. I should play something
that
else.
is an interesting take.
Um,
I have never looked at it like that, huh?
yeah, which is fun. I mean, there's those obvious things like, oh, I like playing Meat at the End. I'm gonna run that in a bunch of decks, so obviously I need like a dozen of those or a
Yeah.
couple dozen of those or whatever. Like that's one thing, but nobody really cares about Meat at the End, right? But if
No,
I
they're happy
am
you're playing it.
playing right,
So
but if I find myself needing more Jackals of Morn or something, like I should I should try harder. Like if
I think
every
that's
deck is playing
that's a
three
cool take to
Jackals,
have on that. I like that.
yeah, it's fun.
Huh.
It definitely makes getting cards easier.
Yeah. You brought up that you like to do just off the wall combos. Do you have a couple examples that you can give us?
Yeah, I made. You were like, let's talk about random, stuff you like to do, and I made a whole list. I just have so many things that I've messed with.
My body
So,
and mind are ready. Let's do
uh,
it.
I know. So, Kilkameth with Built of Champions and Logan's Ring. That's a fun one. Just like get Kilkameth somehow able to equip a level 10 item, make him a rogue, equip Logan's Ring, and then he can make two Forest of Bone every turn. Now, is
That's
there a win condition in that deck? I sort of.
the Forests of
Eventually
Bone are
through
their own win
attrition.
condition. I can't even count during
Right,
fourth edition.
exactly.
Krenthor wandering around in the
Yeah,
undead forest and just it was oh gosh. Somehow it was always that matchup.
yeah, yeah. I played that deck against Vic once, and that was a moment. Vic can sometimes get crunchy, which is fine. Everybody knows that, and it's reasonable. And I played it against him, and he was like, "This deck doesn't have a win condition." I was like, "No, I mean, like, eventually the Force of Bones will attack you." He's like, "That's not a win condition. I'm not gonna play this game." That's fair.
Oh my gosh.
Um, there was there was a period of time towards the end of campaign edition where, well, not a combo, it was just a super fun deck that I really liked playing. I would do like Black Sun Helm with War Spikes on Donner of Clan Hell so that he could consistently equip Ice Talon in the front rank,
Oh.
and then like double wound range strike people if I rolled well enough to hit them, so that my melee strikes and my range strikes were doing two wounds. Was that good? No. Was it super fun? Yes, absolutely. Had a great time with that deck. I don't know if you know this about me specifically, but the general population tends to know that I love Artek. He's my favorite warlord. He was kind of my first like local tournament win. I learned with a Krun campaign edition starter deck, and then 2 weeks later opened a pack of Heroes Gambit and pulled an Artek, and
Nice.
everybody around me was like, "Oh yeah, that's a straight swap, man. You just put him in instead. You don't have to have any movement." Um, so that was a good time. But I there were a couple of years where I built Artek for the online circuit in any event I could possibly build him for, but I built him differently every single time. So I've built dozens of iterations of Artek, whether it be changing his class for like a class in session or a turncoat or something, but also running the some of the ambassadors and running a bunch of elves in him, or Deveranians or something. The Deveranian one wasn't good. I don't think I ever played in an event. One that I really loved and I never played in an event because I didn't think it would actually go was Arctic Uber, where you could just spend him back
I think
and then you
everybody has tried that at least once.
yeah.
I know I've tried it.
Especially with like Obling's quick mail because you can still attack even if you've spent back, because you haven't attacked already. And then doing some kind of wacky Uber with him, that's always a good time. That was a fun thought exercise or deck exercise for me, because a lot of times with the online events, especially with young kids, it's I would like to I play in them, but I didn't have time. And so with Artek, I knew I was either going to win or lose.
The
It
games are
wasn't going to
not
take
are
long.
not yeah, they're not going to take a long time.
Yeah. So and the diversity of being able to like just do different things with him. And I always know I can come up at the end. I can put whatever I want in the deck, and at the end of the day, he's going to come up and attack, and
Yeah.
that's kind of that.
I think as far as
Um,
the building thing goes, again, I think it was sometime during Epic Edition when I don't. Epic Edition was in print, but people were still playing the older sets and stuff. And I think that when I moved
mhm.
my Artec back, like my opponent, he looked at the table, he looked at me, he looked down at Artec, and he's like, "WTF, mate? Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah. It's always funny. Yeah, it's just first action play. Who knows what. Maybe I'm playing the Elven Ambassador, and I first action play a Lost Bride and draw a card, and then second action spin back, let the Lost Bride fall, and they're like, "What are you doing? You've
Yeah.
taken two orders. You have an elf on the board, and your Artec is in the fourth rank.
Yeah, and
I'm not sure
then
I
they
understand or
start
I'm
making
comfortable."
mistakes. So they're like, "What is happening right now?"
Yep,
Nice.
exactly. So that's always a good time. There's a infinite combo with Roshan. Uh, um, well, with there's an infinite combo period if you can loop Alina Deskin, the Overlord. She can discard an item for a range strike. So if you make her a rogue and then have a Cloak of Many Things and a Nodwick, her order is basically Hawk Hatchet on a stick. So like
Yeah.
if she Nodwicks on the Cloak of Many Things, she can then discard the Nodwick for a range strike, use the Cloak of Many Things to get back Nodwick, spin the Nodwick to get Cloak of Many Things, rinse repeat, and just take infinite +6 range strikes. So Rushan was my favorite way to do that, because I could like Blood Oath Helena, make her a chosen, and then she could just kill a thrall, become a rogue, and then loop that
I don't think
action. The other option is to like,
I don't think I've ever
yeah,
actually had her in a deck before, honestly.
yeah. I've built different iterations of that deck a bunch of times because of the infinite combo. It's legal in ancients. It's just not very good because it's like a 4 to 6 card combo. Because you have to have her, Nodwick, which you can only run on one of, so that's like two one of cards in your deck,
Yeah.
plus Cloak of Things, plus a way to get Helena out. So in Rushan, I would usually do like Grave Robbing or something, because you could pump his level up to 9 pretty easy, and then you have to have a way to make Helena a rogue so that she can equip the Cloak of Many Things.
Yeah.
So either like change of leadership to make her a warlord and then Belt of Champions, or it's Blood Oath to make her a chosen and then she kills a thrall to make herself a rogue or something
Blood
in
Oath is just
Rushant.
randomly the most awesome card. Like it's not until it is
Yeah,
until it enables things.
yeah. Until it enables things, it's the enabling the faction blend is very interesting. But that's when I've tried a bunch of different times and I never got it to be consistent. But anytime I pull it off, it's entertaining.
It's like yes.
Um, I love building a good before Braxton's Graveyard was banned in Ancients. I loved building a good Eris deck with Braxton's Graveyard since all your warlords get that ability. So anytime you roll initiative, which Helm of Swiftness, you could do even more initiative
Yeah.
rolls. So lots of recurring stuff. So you just kind of wouldn't kill their stuff, and you would just constantly recur your stuff until you comboed out somehow, um, and then you could start killing their stuff and win the game. Plus, you just had so many more returns than they did. So if they had one warlord and could return one character, but then you could return, three characters,
Yeah.
kind of attrition's going to get you there. That's a good one. Mill decks with Simon. I've always wanted to build a good Warlord Mill deck. Mill is deceptively good in Warlord. You don't think about it as much, but your deck's really small, and if you got any sort of combo pieces, there's just not a lot of mill in Warlord, probably for the same reasons. But I'm in theoretically mills 5 cards. You can build yourself a Simon Abraxas deck that's like, I don't know, 60, 80 cards, uh, just fine. That has enough stuff for it to be fine, and then run empty the racks and use his ability first action all the time. Run Wretch's Labyrinth and defeat it, so everybody discards their hand and draws 5 cards. Because card draw is like mill, but with that's not as good.
Yeah.
So if you get them through their deck somehow,
Yeah, it's all
if
uphill
you
from there.
steal, yeah, you can steal Fate for 5. Have a rogue steal Fate for 5 or something, and then discard those 10 cards and have them draw some more. And then if you get down to it, you can Infinity's End with the other ability, and make them discard the last ten
I
cards in their
hardly ever
deck.
remember that Infinity Zen has that other ability.
I know. I was talking with somebody one time, and he said during the I wasn't around during Southern Kingdoms, but they were like, yeah, during the Southern Kingdoms pre-release, somebody was reading that card, going, "Why would I want to discard the last 10 cards of their deck? That seems really weird and bad." And he's like, "No, the other ability, that's the one that you're gonna use."
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, no, we saw a lot of that. I think this was Infinity Zen was one of those cards that around here during the challenges, the Overlord challenges. I believe it was Dima and Ironhall were the two, and Infinity Zen worked
oh,
very well against both of them. So like we saw a whole bunch of that card. But again, yeah, I think you're right. I don't
yeah,
think I ever really saw people using the other ability.
yep,
Interesting.
yep. I built a couple of times a Sir Lucian deck. It was range strikes. The whole purpose being to like swap him to the front rank first thing, and then kill a level 2 character so that he could uh, leveled immediately
Yeah.
without like first action. And I was running all kinds of weird junk in there, dagger and hurled dagger.
Yes.
Perform a range strike, and
One down, ten
that
thousand to
that
go.
that was a fun deck. And then you don't use Lucian's ability. You use like Rowan's duty,
Oh my
the Lucian,
gosh.
and then he's got
Yeah.
like skill and then bonuses to all of the other range strikes. That's a good time. Um, I didn't even write it down, but one deck that was not my idea, but that was really fun in Epic Edition that some friends played. There's a level 2 cleric elf that starts with a C. It's like Car Aiden. That's got this weird react. It's after a character within 2 ranks targets or is targeted by a melee strike, increase or decrease the character's level by 1 for the duration of the strike. So they would start 3 Siebes, which is the level 1 rogue from I think also Temple of Lore from the same block
I think that
anyway
was the
from Epic
leveling set
Edition.
that was all focused on leveling up and leveling
Yeah,
down
it
on
was
it.
like all
Yeah.
kinds of leveling stuff. So like you would attack with Siebes, and then he would get 2 levels in a class, and then you would play, and you would give him like fighter probably, and then you would have him play a fighter strike generation card facing the demons or outmatch, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Outmatch wasn't legal in Epic Edition, but and then you would decrease his level by 2 with Caden, so he's level 1 again, and then he would react and gain a class or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like level 5 with all this stuff. And then if you did you could do the destroyer set as well, and just not gain a class that
That would interfere with
you
this
could do
set. Yeah.
yeah, so destroyer's armor, and then I think you could do maker's gloves, or not maker's gloves, but madman's blade, um because it's wizard. So you would make Siebes a fighter, give him 2 levels, equip. Then you would do a strike generation card, react with Caden to reduce his level by 2, and then he would like get another bonus level, and then those bonus levels are bonuses. So if you equip Destroyer's Armor and Madman's Blade, then you would get the additional levels on top of that.
Mother of
And just
God.
when you gain your second class, you just choose one you already have. You just choose fighter for a second time, because you can't equip Destroyer's Armor or Madman's Blade if you choose
Yeah.
Cleric or Wizard. And so then you'd be a level 9 fighter and play Secrets of the Suns. And just do some wacky stuff. That's a good time deck.
No, Secret of the Suns was one of the cards we were talking about as potentially being one of those really big middle fingers in Alliance.
Uh-huh.
If you get that off really
Yes.
early, like that could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. It's easy to cancel. It's easy to cancel spells. So like Armageddon or something like those are actually very hard to pull off in Ancients, because if one person's starting Kyle Blackburn or something, they just cancel it.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of cancel cards for strikes. So unless you're against a seer who's packing premonition or something, and there's like 1 or 2 other ways to cancel action cards, just straight up action cards, then you're kind of in trouble. But otherwise, Secrets of the Suns and Cry Havoc are 2 of the best like finisher cards in Alliance, and then Jarzan's the same way. He's like Cry
Yeah.
Havoc, but a guy. So you if you play Jarzan and then tree walk him to the front or whatever, then kind of go to town. That's always a good time. Um, I did that in a game. At some point, I think I did Secrets or Jarzan or something on the Covenant game we played, which was fun.
Nice.
And then immediately lost because I had used all of my used all my oomph. Um, let's see. Ged Yaroslav has always been like a favorite of mine, Warlord wise, just because of his react. The tempo of his react is super fun. And if you can find abilities to wound yourself,
Yeah.
then it becomes like a whole different thing. So I would always build decks with Reckless Abandon, and then a level 4 fighter that's both a Storm Wraith and and a well, I guess it's just a Storm Wraith, and then and a Paladin. You'd be a Storm Wraith and a Paladin, and then you can equip Stormbrand, and then
Yes.
hopefully like you're killing enough people for it to be relevant, and so you can just keep getting hit points, keep killing people, and you just keep taking strikes. They don't, unless they have some way to cancel a strike or something, they can't stop you, because every time you do order and wound yourself,
Yeah, you're
you
getting
get to
another
do
order.
another
Yeah.
strike. Yeah,
Interesting.
which is fun.
I haven't had too much
Is
experience
that
with
good?
him.
No.
I don't know
So I would.
if you can get him. I guess maybe
It
not
takes
buffed enough.
too many pieces. You have to get a guy. You have to get a Stormbrand. You have to There's only, I think, one or two, maybe three um, guys in the game that are both Storm Wraiths and Paladins.
No, no. What was that? What was that
Um,
card? If we're going jank, we're going full jank. Oh, the one that turns you
oh,
into a
there's
paladin.
yeah. Well, Vigil's probably not good. It's better to play Charlotte Delchant and turn your Paladins
Oh
into
yeah,
Storm
there you go.
Wraiths.
Never mind.
That's
Yeah,
that. Do it the other way. If we're gonna build jank,
we're doing
just do
both of them. All right, we're gonna make sure
it.
it's consistent as hell.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to do both. Yeah, there's only as far as like level 4 Stormy Paladins are concerned, um there's only one, except it's not showing up in here. Maybe there's not one? Maybe I'm wrong. I could have sworn there was one Stormy Paladin. Maybe I'm just silly and can't use my own search engine. But um yeah, it's a good fun deck. Yeah, the only one is Mrs. Hydra, who's only level 3, so that doesn't work. And then Gad Minotaur, Stormy Paladin. But it usually ends up better to play the Paladins and make them Storm Wraiths.
Yeah,
But you can play
Charlotte
Storm
seems
Wraiths
pretty
and make them-
consistent for that.
Yeah. You do both, and then a lot of times the Paladins have okay skill, and you can you can make that work. That's a fun deck that I like doing. Um, I love anything related to Lava Gargoyle. I love Lava Gargoyle.
I've tried it.
There's
I've never been able to make it work. Not even for the fun. It was always just frustrating for me because it never came together the way I wanted it to.
it can be really good. I played in my Broken Earth deck because it's not the beauty of Lava Gargoyle, and the reason I love it is because they messed up and put a period instead of a colon. So in Warlord, if there's a colon, it's a cost. If there's a period, it's an effect. So his ability is order kill a gargoyle, period. So if you can cancel the death, or there is no gargoyle to kill, or characters can't die due to card effects, then you don't have to kill anybody, and you can just use his order as much as you want. So in
I don't think I
open,
don't think I've ever noticed that about him.
yeah,
Okay,
it was a
wow,
big
I'm learning all
boo-boo.
sorts of new things today.
Yeah, I think Jeremiah brought it up to me once. He because he had he beat Wrath, and then the weapon, the Light of Albrecht, I think it was. If you have like 27 or greater AC, you can't be killed by card effects. Well, it's not that hard to get Lava Gargoyle to that point with an Epic Mantle and killing a few gargoyles. Maybe like a buff or something, and then as soon as you have that AC, then you're just gonna go infinite because you get infinite levels and charges and hit points, and then you can just ready as much as you want and do as many strikes as you want. If you've got an epic mantle on, then your attack is also infinite, which is a good time. There's a cohort, one of the Destiny Lord cohorts, Dark Reserve cohort, the Tanfesh one, that if Tamfesh is your warlord, then you can't your characters can't be killed by card effects. So back in the day, Carter would take open challenges, and so he was in town once for something, and I was like, hey, you want to take an open challenge? He's like, yeah, I'll take an open challenge, and so I signed Tanfesh as my warlord and sat down with him to play Altus. And he was like,
Nice.
so that's your warlord. And he's like, I'm like, yep, it's fine, don't worry about it. And I think I got him on the second or third game. As soon as I showed the infinite, he scooped it and gave me the Dragon Lord. But I all you had to do was get Lava Gargoyle into play, not stunned, and get the cohort into play, and then you win.
Off to the races, yeah. No, I think with him,
Yeah.
because I didn't quite realize that. I think what I was doing with him was just, again, I believe I was running this out as odd, but it was just get a rage collar on him and not even go infinite.
Yeah.
Just try to get as much chaff as I didn't need, and even just 2 or 3 rage collars with him, with some of the dwarf support was. I say it was enough, but it wasn't. It never worked out. I was never able to
Yeah.
make it come together correctly.
Well,
But
you don't need to go infinite. The real thing to do is to put it in Broken Earth, because again, you can cancel the death and still get the stuff. So if you kill Broken Earth and then cancel Broken Earth's death, then it's a twofer, right? So like the whole thing with Broken Earth is that you kill Broken Earth yourself with Reckless Abandon or Lava Gargoyle or something, and then you kill your level one Gargoyle. He readies. So your deck is essentially level one, maybe level two Gargoyles, no rim Lava Gargoyle, and then you search out the Lava Gargoyle, get him into play. Um, Maybe stun him to the front and ready him or something, or somehow get Lava Gargoyle to the front, not stunned, and then you just use Lava Gargoyle to kill Broken Earth instead of Reckless Abandon, and then you can toss in one change of leadership or something for when Broken Earth is no longer bring
Relevant.
backable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got your epic mantle and your change of leadership for Lava Gargoyle, and then Lava Gargoyle is just massive, and they can't chew through that. And every turn you're taking a
Yeah.
few strikes. It's your King's Lady on and do whatever. If you even need that, I mean, most of the time you don't. Most of the time, if you've got Mass Bless, Broken Earth, and Lava Gargoyle, then you win by like turn two, just with the number of strikes you're going to generate. Pretty
Huh.
It's pretty fun, marginally competitive. It's kind of easy to stop, and it's easy to get a bad hand and mess that up. Uh, up. I love playing a good Jin Valford Seal Dragon deck. It's a good time. One of my favorite warlords is Care Bear Northern. And I love Traic Northern, the level 5 from Stolen Destiny. That's like after you discard a card, you can like RFG it and then spend order, remove Traic from the game, and return those to your hand. So it's like you get 3 free discards with him if you've somehow managed to get a 5th rank in your elf deck. You get 6 uses of Care Bear that turn instead of 3. Which is usually enough to turn the tide. It's pretty
Yeah, we
fun.
don't see too much of him, and I don't know why. We all like him, just nobody plays him.
Mm-hmm. I don't play him as much anymore. I played him a lot in Epic Edition. I played that deck a bunch of times. I uh, I sat down across from Tommy Pistol Mellon, who was on the design team. He designed Drake Northern, and I played him. He's like, "Oh, I designed that card. I'm surprised anyone's actually playing it." And I'm like, "No, I like it. It's fun. I don't know if it's good, but I like it."
Nice.
It's always a good time. Um, I love a good Caitlyn the Free Phantasm deck. Um, Not necessarily like a good Phantasm deck, but the all your eggs are in one basket. Um, I think usually when I play it, I start Timid Imp. So I will
Oh, that's
first order.
brilliant.
Yeah. First order play like Temple of Lore or Tekken Ket or something silly. Temple of Lore is a good one. And then bounce all the Timid Imps.
I
Then
can't believe I never thought of
second,
that because I'm a fan of
I
Timid
know it's a
Imp.
good.
It just
Yeah,
not with her. So
yeah. Well, discard 3 Timid Imps and something else to get Phantasm, and then you Phantasm in a level 5 fighter. So Karakachuk is a good one. Rami is a good one. And then most of your deck is like uh, no prisoners and um, obliterate
yeah,
and
Fighter Strike
that
Generation.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, so like Karakachuk's usually a good one because that's gonna immediately mess up like if they've got level 1
Oh, it's a
characters, they're
bad
gonna
time if you're not ready for that guy, especially if he's coming out that early.
yeah,
It's like, huh? I have a whole
yeah.
bunch
If,
of
it,
stuff
if
that I
it's
can't play anymore. That's fun.
exactly, and you can start like a Desert Martyr or start just like if they're gonna try and strike it. 17 AC is pretty high anyway for Karakachuk, but if you first order play Temple of Lore, bounce 3 Timid Imps. Second order, discard 3 Timid Imps and like Invasion or something. And then invasion, like discard or like phantasm in Karakachak, and then invasion in I don't know some more level ones or something that have defensive capabilities. And then you've got a Temple of Lore in play, so Karakachak's got 12 skill and 22 AC. They're probably not going to be able to deal with that Karakachak on their second or third order of the game.
Yeah.
They just have to do one wound to it, but it's probably not going to happen. And then if your third order is to obliterate, and then it's a lot. Now, is there a lot of stuff that can be done to prevent that? Absolutely. I would not call it a consistent deck, but it's fast and it's fun.
Yeah,
And if you don't have a lot of time to play games,
they're one of the people that I play with regularly, quote unquote. His Caitlyn the Free is the spell he gets is jump. He just like jumps her, and then he just throws out normal wizardy blaster spells and stuff. I've done the starting Timid Imps, but I want to say I was doing them with oh, what's his name, Sakar and Angel's Tears. I never thought of doing that with Caitlyn, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. That's fun too. I like playing combo, and Caitlyn's pretty much just got combo written all over because of her ability.
Yeah.
If we list the number of combo decks that I have played that got cards banned in Ancients, it's at least 3, and it's probably more. I don't know. Because I used Bear Shard to get Mirror Magic banned, and Caitlyn to get one last time banned. Cochrane got restricted after I top 8'd with Teforoth in like 2021 or whatever it was.
I was slightly upset when Mirror Magic got banned, but again, that's one of those things where it's one of those things where
just a thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, because I don't consider, and I don't think any of the people that I play with, what I do with it is it's dealing with stuff that has charges. It's like Lennox with whatever that
Optron.
There's an elf who, like, when he kills somebody he can get charges, and he has some weird save DC, but I would use that to try to get more charges onto the Lennox, or I would have Kyber Mirror Magic Lennox's range shot ability so that he can do a bunch of range shots. And it wasn't particularly egregious, so again, in our play group, because if we don't like something, we're just like, we're not going to do that, so I still play it in that Lakar deck that I run that out of. So
yeah, that's a good time. I think there's a lot of fun things you can do with Mirror Magic. But again, that's kind of where Alliance comes in for me. I can still do wacky Mirror Magic decks in Alliance, and that kind of fills that gap for me without it being ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Ancients players that have played Ancients for years and years look at Alliance and go, oh, but none of those ridiculous cards are banned. And the answer is, well, yeah, but it's a 70-card deck, and you only have one of them. And, I mean, honestly, they're not very good at that point for a lot of them.
Yeah.
Is Mirror Magic still good? Yeah, but, like, how are you going to combo when it's a Highlander deck? You're not, probably. You can, once per game, yeah, maybe you pull off the... If I had one where I was using Sign to sign in Kobsharon, which is the level 4 Nothrog, that every time a Warlord performs an order, you get a charge. So in Alliance, if you're playing in a 4-person pod and everybody's got 2 Warlords, that's a lot of charges. So then you play like Linux, and then Mirror Magic the Linux's order with Kobsharon and do like a bazillion range checks. That's a good time. Is that consistent? No. Are you going to pull it off every once in a while and everyone's going to go, oh, that's crazy and hilarious? Yeah, you're going to, it's a good time. I think another one along that kind of spell line is Lakar. I've always loved Lakar because making things spells is wild.
I'll be honest, I hated him when he was released. I'm like, I don't like this guy at all.
He's got 2 hit points.
That was also, I mean, not that I am good at this game in any way, but I couldn't figure out what to do with him back in campaign edition, and so it's like it wasn't until I want to say fairly recently, like maybe within the last 5 or 6 years, where I kind of understood the game a bit more than as a stupid high school kid, and started thinking, yeah, that is kind of interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with him.
it's easier in Ancients or in Alliance when you've got a deeper card pool. Um, we would build. There was an Ancients deck that a friend would build during Epic Edition. We were playing Ancients during Epic Edition, and he would start. Or really, maybe it was open. I don't remember. Either way, he would start Ring of Blasting back before Ring of Blasting
Yes.
couldn't play anymore. He would start Ring of Blasting, and then he would on the card discard a couple cards, and then just remove a bunch of spells, and then he would play Death for Death, kill himself, and Eye of the Storm their Warlord for like a DC 30 for 3 wounds. And
Yeah.
it was great. And maybe that Death for Death does 2 wounds too because you've pumped it and your spells are all doing an additional wound and you pumped it. So between the Eye of the Storm and the Death for Death, usually you're winning that game, and it's real funny.
Yeah, that's
Depending
a
on
very
what
far
you're
cry
playing.
from. Yeah, again, when Lacar's suit was printed, again, Infinity's End was everywhere, and he does not like Infinity's End at all. So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, he does if you are the one playing it. I
oh yeah,
I
yeah, that's true.
played. I beat a Gixu that way. AJ ran a Gixu. This was like 2017 or 18 or 19 or something. Probably not 2019, but somewhere in there. Um, AJ ran a Gixu against me, and it was an Ancients game. So it was like Ancients Gixu challenge. So obviously, it's not going to go well for Gixu because Ancients has a lot more depth than
Yeah.
4E did. But I was running Lakar, finding the ring, discarding cards to do an additional wound, and then most of my deck was like card draw and stuff. So Gixu taking all my stuff didn't matter. Like if you want to take my back alley taverns or whatever, my Metathians and play them again, that's great. Play Metathians again for me to draw my combo.
Yeah.
And I discarded 3 cards to have spells do 3 additional wounds, and then baited him into using Gixu's React for like the 5th time that turn, and used Infinity's End on him
Nice.
um, for 5, which was a good time. That's how you win.
Yeah.
Um, there's a fun deck with Anton Sildragon that I would make. That was this was more recent, but Crushing Weight. So because of how Crushing Weight is worded, it's the rank in front of you. So like until the turn, after each time the target moves forward, the controller must select a character in the rank in front of the target to succeed with the check. So you just Crushing Weight your own character, and then anytime they enter your front rank, the rank in front of you is their front rank. So if you Crushing Weight and then have like tie bass and stuff so that it's higher checks, and then you run Anton and a bunch of stuff to move people back, or you could theoretically do that out of like Etra or something, and then be pushing your own characters back with Etra. But then you've like Crushing Weighted somebody, and you cycle it a bunch of times with Fade Dithanis or whatever,
Yeah.
and then use Ursula or Cestian or any number of the Free Kingdoms cards that push people back a rank. You just use it on your own people to consistently push the same guy that's had Crushing Weight cast on him like 4 times. Push him back over and over again so that you push him back, create an illegal rank, fall him forward, so he's moved forward. Because he moved forward, you choose somebody in the rank in front of him to make a DC 16. Except you've used Crushing Weight like 3 times, so you choose 3 characters to make DC 16s, and you have 2 tie bass in your discard pile, so they're DC 20s. And so you're just pushing your own guy back over and over and over again in order to make their
I don't think
people
I've ever
use
seen any
the
deck
different.
play Crushing Weight, so that's a pretty interesting application to it.
That's a fun one. That's a more recent one. Sometime in the last 3 or 4 years or something, I built that. If we'll call that more recent. Um, I've always loved building a good like Alisara Swiss Army deck where you play like 3 ways to win or whatever. So you play like One in a Million, and gosh, what else did I put in there? One in a Million, something with Linux, maybe? That doesn't sound right. Votar Charm, and something else that I was. I think Vengeful Strike may have been the other thing I would do. And so, if you drew Vengeful Strike, or if you drew, based on what you would draw that determines who you search out with for Alisara. So you start like a Light and a Desert Martyr, and then Brine Fiends or whatever to hold a rank. And then if you draw Vengeful Strike, you search out Stasia, and then strike at them with Stasia. They strike you. You Desert Martyr it. You Vengeful Strike, and you take like 6 strikes to the Warlord. If you draw One in a Million, then you search for Racine Pendrick, who then searches for Arbalist, who then uses One in a Million and marks with marksmanship to do an Arbalist strike for 3 at their Warlord. And if you draw Votar Charm, you search out Darson and do a Light and do a Darson.
That's some memories right there.
Yeah. So, just that kind of thing where you have like multiple different combos in your deck, and based on which combo you draw, you go get your person. I like that. That's a fun way to play.
Yeah,
Alisara,
I don't
rather
think
than just like some drag and drop deck.
Yeah, that mostly because one of my buddies, that's Alisar, is his favorite Warlord, and every version he has, they're different, but they're not different. It's like the character base is somewhat different sometimes, but it's always just throwing bodies at you, like throwing Shadow Reavers,
Right.
throwing Jackal, throwing all this stuff at you, and yeah,
Right. Play some combos. Play some combat tricks, and if you get there, then whichever one you get, you go with the guy to go with.
his trick, if you even want to call it a trick, because he doesn't really believe in dragon dropping, except for that stupid stealth one that gets into your ranks and moves you around, and it's the worst thing in the world. It's not. I'm not even saying it's good. It's just annoying as hell, and he does that to me every fucking game. It's like the one character that doesn't change out of that deck. It's like, well, yeah.
That's fun. I also like Bronwyn. Bronwyn's another one that's like just got combo written all over it. Pre Cochrane ban or pre Cochrane restriction. That was how you killed Altus back in Epic, or back in Campaign. You'd mental assault and top 3 Cochranes and have them do a bunch of big checks.
Yeah.
That was a good time. But I like doing bad things. So playing like one of the handful of elf monsters that exists, and then some like mercenary monsters, and you can like metamorphosis. Yeah, it's something wacky. So like I built a deck that was like metamorphosis into Orm, off of like a level 4 elf or something. That was fun. Was it good?
I don't know. That if you can get that off fast enough, that could
That
could be pretty solid.
You get the Orm in your hand, and the metamorphosis in your hand, and the monster in your hand.
It's elves. You got draw. It's trivial. It's easy.
It'll be fine. Brick to Kurzath, big fan of that deck. Fires of Fate is one of my favorite cards. It's weird. I love being able to do Kurzath with Brickta, or I mean, really with anybody, but Brickta is the most fun payoff, since you get 2 strikes for every wound on you if you use Fires of Fate with Kurzath out of Brickta. And then Burlian. I love Burlian the Stout's order. I love his ability. I can't quite figure out how to use it effectively. I think there's something there. I think he's just like missing a couple of pieces. But just the ability to do even Black Moss, like if you can somehow have a card advantage, and then have people with additional hit points or something, just 3 or 4 wounds from black moss that
Well,
are automatic
yeah, I
can be
think I
detrimental.
saw Vac playing, and I this blew my mind when I saw this. I mean, obviously, he's orders of magnitude better than me. He was playing
Uh-huh.
Berlin with stealthing gargoyles, and he would get them.
Yeah,
He would get them near their warlord, and he would do things like the Black Moss thing, where he would attach his
yeah,
in
black moss.
secret and transfer it over to their
Yeah,
warlord. And I thought that was very creative.
yeah, yeah. It's fun. I started doing something like that with Berlin oh, years ago, and then the other thing you can do is play those gargoyles or play just rogues of some kind. Usually it's gargoyles. And if you get Nodwick and Portable Hole, then you have an infinite filter. And you can filter to your the problem is having enough cards in your hand to get to a combo. But if you have Berlin, Nodwick, at least 2 rogues, and a Portable Hole, which is 5 cards in itself, so you're probably not doing this turn one unless
Yeah,
you've had loyalty's reward or meet at the end or something. But it's a filter, so you discard a card to move the Nodwick. You Nodwick on Portable Hole. Portable Hole draws you a card, and then you discard that card you drew. Rinse repeat. So you
yeah,
can go through you can draw your entire deck. You just have to discard your deck to do it. But if you've got 3 cards in your hand when you start the process, and your deck has a 3-card combo in it, then you're good to go.
yeah.
I think I built one with Pride. It was like I think I built Open Contract Pride, which is always fun. Do like Open Contract Pride Dunkirk Guide, and then you've got the portable holes already as a part of your filter combo. So you're just using portable hole to move the Pride,
Yeah.
and then as long as their warlords within 3 ranks, then you win.
See, our play group is boring
Um,
enough that the portable holes, the most common thing we use it for is just the movement.
yeah, I mean
So
moving 2 ranks is
we
really
generally
good.
don't have these the like how did you describe it, a filter like that, like yeah, that kind of thing is that's a little too
Yeah.
advanced for us. So
Yeah. Well, that's it's like a complex build, but if you it's probably a turn 2 combo win if you get the cards for it. But if you get the cards for it, then it's pretty good. But yeah, Black Moss off some people to move that stuff around, that's pretty good.
yeah,
Felshar and stuff. But yeah, I think that's all my notes. I could go on for years about, you know, all the random wacky combo decks I've built. I played Norn a lot at the end of CE because I thought it was fun. That
okay,
wasn't
well
really a
I
combo
was
deck,
I was
but
gonna
it's
say
just
that I was gonna say that's not a terrible stopping point, but if you have any Norn stuff, I'd love to hear that, because
yeah,
she is
no,
another one that I didn't try to make her work. One of the people that I played a lot back then, he could not, and he was, again, he's way better than me, and just every time he put Norn on the table, I was like, I might win a game for him, because
yeah,
everything he tried, none of it worked. Granted, this was back in
yeah,
campaign edition, but
yeah. Campaign edition. That's when I was playing. That's when I played her the most. But I think the only thing I could do that had some amount of consistency was just spell blitz stuff. I mean, Shadow Bolts, Final Power, Fiery Bolts, Ring of Order, whatever to move forward. And then just, Spell Blitz. You can Sniper Shot your Shadow Bolts and do a +9 for 3. And
oh, that is
just
pretty nifty.
win
Yeah,
that way. Yeah. That kind of thing. Sniper Shot on a spell was basically what you were looking at. You could Fiery Bolts, Marksmanship, Sniper Shot, do 3. Um,
yeah,
that's how I was winning. I wasn't doing very well. I was also probably 14 at the time or
yeah.
something. So
Were you ever able
I
to
probably
make?
didn't
Were you ever able to make the spend order work? Because that's what he was trying to do, and it was
Oh
never.
goodness, no. I don't even, it's not. There's no point. Can't you
Oh
can't make
man.
that work.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and it targeted an opposing spent character in an adjacent rank. It targeted all opposing spent characters in an adjacent rank 13s or 20 if they're stunned or suffer wounds. No, you can't make a DC 13 consistently good, and
I
you have to wait until they're spent. It's just
I doubt he's ever going to listen to this, but Drew, it wasn't your fault, okay? It's
Yeah,
just that bad.
it's not great. I really wish she was better than she was. It's just not fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's rough. It's rough.
Okay then. Well, that answers that question. Do you have any final thoughts on Casual Warlord? You've had quite a few interesting things for me to potentially steal from myself at some point.
You know what? I love it when people steal stuff. Imitation, as form of flattery, yada yada. Um, no, I mean, Casual Warlord is kind of where it's at in my opinion, and I think when the new edition comes out, it's going to feel more like Casual Warlord. Um, and to me, it feels a lot more like um, campaign edition. I've harped on it on other stuff before, but and I'm completely biased because I started playing during campaign edition. But to me, kind of mid campaign edition, mid to late campaign edition was peak Warlord for me. Um, I think there was a lot of fun stuff. You had a lot of fun decks going on. The You didn't have quite the crazy power curve that Epic Edition had.
I hardly played
Um,
Epic. I hated Epic Edition honestly.
exactly.
Like it was.
It was. Yeah, I played it a lot, but I think it was rough for a lot of people for that. I didn't mind it because I was still building, wacky combo decks and I didn't care if I lost. But it was rough for people who had any interest in winning because you couldn't play decks that you liked. You had to play decks that won. And it
Yeah.
kind of
I can't
hard,
speak with
but
any real authority on that. I just and it's so long ago. All I can remember is negativity, and so like
yeah,
I remember pre-campaign, and that was crazy. But it was like a kind of a fun crazy. Like it was everything was nuts, but in the good way. I liked campaign a lot, and that's
yeah,
when I first started even kind of taking the game, as seriously as I'm capable of taking games like this. And then campaign was just
yeah.
yeah, it was misery. And then fourth edition happened, which was also a form of misery, but at least I still had more fun in fourth edition than I did during Epic edition. So
Exactly. Well, and like I I liked fourth edition okay. I liked that it was Warlord. I Fourth edition felt very slow to me. It felt kind of like campaign edition if you made it really slow and dry. Um, campaign edition felt like it had a lot more oomph to me. It had a little. I could play a better spell blitz deck. I could play
I was
this or
going
that.
to
That was
say it's maybe
yeah,
not a fair comparison to bring up slow if your favorite warlord is Artek.
yeah, that's true too. But I also I, I don't. Basically, I found myself not wanting to play fourth edition because it felt so generic.
Mm.
It was like they were afraid of epic edition and kind of made it very
They
slow
overcompensated
and
and
not even necessarily yeah. And then by
yeah.
the end of it you had all these like deceptively powerful cards, and so it just kind of ended up a lot like epic edition
Mm.
at the very end. Just some crazy, and especially ones that have been more discovered post 4E, from dust to dust, and like the um, um, Binding West Wind and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
just kind of rough for people, or stronger than people thought about it being at the time. Things like that. So I think because people are not used to having to buy packs and stuff in order to play Warlord constructed format, that in the beginning, especially, new stuff is going to feel a lot more like casual Warlord because you're not going to have the cards yet. Like
Yeah.
you're going to have to buy a lot of boxes or buy a lot of singles in order to build your crazy dragon deck or something. Like, are you going to open enough packs to get 20 dragons or whatever?
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I actually historically speaking, I because when I was first playing Warlord, I was a broke high school kid. I had no money. I couldn't really afford
Exactly.
anything.
I didn't either.
But I always thought in the beginning the way fourth edition released with those adventure packs, I was super all on board for that in the beginning, and then as it started to occur to me, okay, if I want four or three copies of Obliterate, I'm gonna have to
Uh,
go buy three of those boxes, and I'm
mhm.
gonna have to multiply that by all this stuff, and then so
Right. And then
I
everybody's buying the same fixed packs, so there's no trade scene.
yeah,
Like
I
there's
mean
some,
that
but like
was
there's very little incentive to trade because I'll just buy the pack that I want. Whereas if you're buying if everybody's buying lots of packs and they're not pulling what they want, then they can trade what they don't want for what they do want, and there's a lot.
yeah.
It's a lot easier. It ends up being cheaper for
No,
some
and
people.
I think you're right. And one of the I think the poster child for what I'm talking about with the one rare is not even things like Obliterate. It's I think the worst ones were some of the rare thralls in the Chosen, where it's like nobody is
Yeah,
parting with those because if even if they're not playing the Chosen, they're I'm not trading my Radu Tams away. Like you got to go
right.
get your own, and then it's like then I'm stuck with a whole bunch of these other things that I didn't really want, and
Exactly.
yeah, so I'm excited for that.
So we get to. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I think the trading is gonna be fun. And in playtest and stuff, we've talked. I don't think it's been spoiled anywhere except on a podcast, but Tyron Ruskin's being reprinted, and so and that'll be in Into the Accord and we like just in playtest. I don't. I, c- it's it's hard for me to describe how excited I was to have to play around Tyron Ruskin again. Like it felt like I was playing a campaign edition game because I had to play around Tyron Ruskin and figure out what to do about that 9 AC 2 hit point character so that I could actually put a wound on his warlord and not have him stop it. And it was frankly awesome. Like that sounds weird like his guy was messing me up and I enjoyed it.
No, I think I understand what you're
But
saying.
but it was great. It felt a lot more like old school, like more casual warlord. Back in the day, you didn't have a warlord. If people had two, they just gave it to you.
Yeah, no,
There
that's
was
one of the
no
reasons why
market
I
for
think.
commons and uncommons.
Yeah, that's one of the
Everybody
reasons.
just gave away their commons and uncommons.
Yeah, the extra warlord thing. That's I think why Robert became my favorite because there were plenty of people who were
Yeah.
like, I have like three
Yeah.
dollars. Can I buy one of these? Like, you just have it, dude. Like, I have four of them. Like, take it, kid. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And
No,
that's gonna be a thing too.
I haven't actually looked at outside of the ones that have been spoiled on the Facebook group. I haven't really dug in any of them. Another friend of mine, he
Mhm.
does video game or not video game, card game content for stuff I've never heard of. But he I believe is on board for Warlord, so I'm gonna hopefully have uh, a co-op video with him, and I wanted all my reactions to be genuine, so I'm gonna be kind of blindsided by everything. So I'm excited.
That's good.
Okay,
That's good. I like
yeah.
that.
Well, I guess that is probably gonna do it there. Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's
Poten-
not complicated. You usually if someone reaches out and says they want to have a conversation, I usually just say yes. I don't care. Happy to do it. It's fun.
yeah, potentially maybe sometime further down the line after we've all got our new cards and stuff and things have settled a bit, maybe I can have you on again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that is going to do it. Thank you again, Josh, for appearing on my little channel. I had a lot of this episode was a lot of fun to do, so not much more to say. Thank you for checking this out, guys. God bless you, and I will catch you in the next video.